Hi everybody, this is Tina with Rehatch Designs. Hope everybody's doing well. I am here today with a new video and a kind of a new series. First off though, I want to thank everyone that helped me try and figure out what my audio issue was on my videos. Apparently I had a bad microphone and it was sending out some feedback. But what was interesting about it is that it was at such a high pitch that only certain people could hear it, okay? So it was kind of, I couldn't hear it. My husband couldn't hear it. One of my sons couldn't hear it. The other one could hear it perfectly. So it was crazy. But anyway, we narrowed it down to a bad microphone. And I think that, it's taken care of. So I do want to say the videos that had that on there, I can't really fix. The only thing that you can do is, turn the sound down if you can hear it. I mean, most people can't hear it, but people that can hear it, turn the sound down and, enable the closed captioning, which will, at least let you but see what I'm doing or saying, and then you can do that. If it's a flip through, you could just turn the sound down completely. The way you can do that on your TV is if you hit the tools, the little the wheel that looks like a tool, a little, well, I don't know what you call it, a wheel thing. If you hit that, then it allows you to go in and enable closed captioning, or if you cast it onto your TV, you can also enable closed captioning that way from your phone. There's different ways you can do it. A lot of times on your television you can set it to have closed captioning all the time. It's not perfect because I looked at it, but for the most part it does a pretty good job, and I think that way you can get the gist of what I was saying and not having to hear the noise. And I mean, I really can't go back and change those videos because first off, it would be a tremendous amount of work. But secondly, once I uploaded my videos, I get rid of them. YouTube has them on their platform, but I don't keep them because the amount of memory that it would take would be crazy. So I would have to download them and reload them, and I'm just not going to do that. So hopefully that will work for you guys. But like I said, I apologize for torturing people with this noise that I couldn't hear, my husband couldn't hear. Some people can't hear, some do, so I don't know. Anyway, and also, it wasn't that I didn't believe anybody. It's just I couldn't hear it to fix it. I couldn't figure out when it started, what it was, anything. And, I just kept going on until I could figure out what it was. Did it by process of elimination. But luckily, it didn't take that long to figure it out. But it did. There's quite a few videos out there that it's on. So okay, so anyway, what I'm going to get to today, I'm getting past all that, is I have decided I have a lot of things that I want to do that I haven't done that are just for fun, and I'm going to start doing those. And one of those things is use my Tim Holtz stuff. I love Tim Holtz products. I love a lot. I buy a lot of his stuff on sale, and some not on sale when I really need it. But for this thing, I'm gonna take out a lot of stuff that I've kind of been hoarding, and I want to use it. And hopefully, maybe you guys might want to do it with me. Tim Holtz is no longer making the 12 by 12 paper pads. So I have a bunch of stuff and I'm not using it, but I'm going to use it. First off, I have the French Industrial. I don't know. I have a lot of that I haven't used. I have more than one pad of some of these, but memorandum, I want to use that. I love this. Okay, I have, I think the top came off of this. This is wallflower, and that is this one right here. So that is this. Okay. And let's see, I have pieces of other stuff too. Let me see what I did with that. Okay. I have a lot of stuff that I pulled out in little pieces, so I don't know where it went to. Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. And I have the wallflower vellum that I'm going to use. And I also have a couple of the 8x8s. I have this one, etc. And I think, you know, he's going to just be doing the 8x8s. And I get that. And I kind of like them better because I think the pattern is smaller and it works better for what we do. But I still, I still love my other stuff. And then this one is, what is this one called? Because the top's off of it. Abandoned. And I did use quite a few of these because I think I used it in a Halloween journal. But anyway, not only just his paper, okay, that's what I'm going to be using in this project, but I want to use, I have so much stuff. I have more, I'm going to be using more than this, but just to give you an idea. I have this, haven't used it yet. Bought this, haven't used it yet. I bought these. These are the little paper dolls. I want to use that. I've got I tried to keep the tops of these, so I don't know. This is a curated collection. And it just has all kinds of really cool stuff in it. I know I'm going to definitely love this. Just love it. Numbers and all. Oh, gosh. Anyway, and then I got this. This is layers, and I guess these are just all different kinds of tags, right? Salvage tags, and then, oh, okay, that's the top of another one, layers. And then I just got some paper. I'm going to use my old paper dolls too, guys. It's not just new stuff. Snapshots, I have that. This, I just got these at 40% off, which I normally never buy anything that expensive, but I just knew I had to have this. I don't know why. You know, I've got, okay, so this one, I don't know where the top is, but this is a 3D brick embossing folder. Then I have this one that has the textured fades. I have other ones I'll probably dig out. My problem with my Tim Holtz stuff is I have it all over the place. I have these, you know, I have different stamps. I have other stamps. I have the stamps with the die cuts. I never use those. I have, of course, words, you know, and I have metal embellishments. But then I also have, oh, let me see here. I've got these. I've got, you know, tons and tons, and you may too, of all of these little, you know, ephemera packs, especially the tiny ones. And I haven't used those, so I want to use them. So that, and then I'm going to use other stuff. You know, I'm not going to use just Tim Holtz stuff, but I just want to use Tim Holtz stuff in conjunction with other things. And I thought that if I made a regular time every week where I just take out some of the stuff and play with it, that you guys might want to play with me and have fun and get your stuff out, or stuff that you have like it out, and have some fun with it, you know, because I don't know, that's what we bought it for, right? So anyway, what I'm going to do is I am going to make a journal base kind of a thing to put all these little tags and all these little things in. I was thinking about making a tag journal, you know, just the tags and stuff. But then I thought, well, I'm just going to make the journal part of it and then put the tags in it. And then make all kinds of little flippy floppy things and envelopes and all kinds of cool stuff. And, you know, it may end up being so big and bulky that I have to make multiple. I have no idea. I just have kind of a basic idea of what I'm going to do. And I thought I'd bring you guys along with me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a 6x6 ring bound journal. Okay, so I've got some, and this is not super heavy. This could be like a double layer of cardstock, or you could use a cereal box. I happen to have this. It's just some kind of a lightweight chipboard. And then I have, this is a burlap paper that I bought, and I hardly have any of it left. But I bought this pad, and I thought, I don't know what I'm going to use this for, and I have used this a lot. So I'm going to use that for the cover, okay? And I'm going to use rings, and my thing is I just want to use some, let me show you, because I have one here already ready to go. I distressed these a little, but I think I'm going to have to do it more. You don't, one thing I noticed when I tried to rust these things, you really don't want to too much because your hinges don't work good. But I have these little hinges or rings, and this one is what, about 1.5 inches, or maybe 1 3/4. Well, yeah, I don't know, maybe, yeah, about 1 3/4. And I may end up using, I have some bigger ones, I may end up using bigger ones, but for right now, I'm making it a 2-hole little journal. So I'm going to do that with these, and I mean, you could make it a 3-hole, 2-hole, whatever you want to do. And I'm going to make each page 6x6. And the reason I'm doing that is that a lot of your Tim Holtz papers, the 12x12s, he has these 6x6 kind of cutouts in there like that, you know. So I figured that way we could use those, you know, that way. And that's kind of why I did that. All right. So the pages are going to be Tim Holtz and Tim Holtz type papers. And I'm making each page 6x6. I'm going to make the cover a little bit bigger, but I'm not going to just use Tim Holtz papers, guys. I have other papers that I want to use, give you an idea. Like I have this 8x8 paper pad. Let me move this stuff out of the way because y'all are going to be like, what? God, what is she doing? Okay. Like for instance, I have this paper pad. It has these maps on it and stuff. And all this stuff. I may use it because I think it looks kind of cool, you know. Looks like it would work with it, you know. It's got some writing. It's got, you know, different type paper. So I think that would work really well. I have all these other scrapbook papers that I think would work. I just went through and picked out pages from different paper pads that I thought, well, you know, these would look good too, probably, right? So, oh, here's the Tim Holtz one. I'll just move that out of the way. So that's kind of, and I'm not just going to use the 6x6. That's what I was going to show you. I mean, I don't have any problem cutting that out. That will work too on either side. So that is what I'm going to be using. The other thing I'm going to use is I'm going to use paper that I don't like to sandwich in between my papers. And I'll give you an idea because I've already cut these. This is some paper that I had that I bought that is, you know, I mean, I don't really use this. It's not that it's terrible or anything, but I don't really use it. And I'm going to sandwich some of these papers in between these because I want to make these pages kind of thick so that they won't tear, and then I can put stuff on them. And so what I'm going to do, for instance, and I cut this down to a 6 by 6, and first off, let me show you. So, like for instance, this one or this one. Let's just do this one. I'm just going to take this and I'll cut a bunch of these pieces, you know, just cut them down because they're already, you know, made to be 6 by 6. And that's what I came up with. This whole idea was to make 6 by 6 just because I thought, well, you know what, I'll just make it that size. That makes it nice and easy because they're already, I mean, you could definitely cut these any size and it wouldn't make any real difference, but I just thought, well, we'll make it easy. So for instance, so we already have 4, you know, and then maybe I'll take, let me see where my ugly papers are because I have a ton. Well, I'll just use these. I'll just show you on this one because I don't think you're going to need to see it 4 times over. And then this is another paper, and this is not a Tim Holtz paper, but it could definitely work. I have enough Tim Holtz paper that I don't have to use other paper, but I might as well, right? Then I can kind of save some of my Tim Holtz paper. So here's my ugly paper, here's my Tim Holtz paper, and you know, on this you're going to have to decide which side you want. And then here's my other scrapbook paper, and of course that's another way to use those papers that are white on the back. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to just use glue stick. I'm going to sew around these. If you're not going to sew around them, you probably want to use a better glue that will stay, you know, because my glue stick, it is a pretty good glue stick, but at the same time, I wouldn't trust it for, you know, forever. So I'm going to measure this on the bottom, or not measure it, line it up on the bottom and then on the sides, and that usually gets it pretty straight. And don't worry about it being perfect because we can trim it later. Let me do this again. So this is paper that I probably would never use, just because I don't really use this paper. And what I'm doing by doing this is I'm making these each, you know, stronger, so it'll work real well with the ring binding. Although 2 Tim Holtz papers really honestly would be plenty thick. You could do those back to back. Okay, did I do that good? Okay. All right. So it's off a little bit. So now what I can do is I can just take any cutter, really. You can take your scissors. I don't trust myself with the scissors because I usually cut things crooked. But I'm going to go right on the 6 there, and that should cut it pretty straight. A little bit more. There we go. So it's a tiny little bit, but so I just kind of go back and look and see if there's any spots that you want to kind of get them reasonably even. See that? little spot right there, just like that. So I kind of look around, make sure I get it right. And then usually I'm going to use walnut stain because you're using darker colors, and I found when you use vintage photo then you have to go over it a bunch, so I like the walnut stain. And that just really kind of hides any difference at all. So, oops, let me get that. Okay. So, I hope everybody is doing well. And I have had people over all last week, seems like, and then I'm going to have people next week, and I'm like, wow. I don't know, I was so glad that I finally got some time to come out of my craft room. I mean, I like the company, but I miss not having my crafting. Okay, the other thing that I do is I do all of them, you know, and then I go in and I punch the holes. And honestly, the way that I do it is make sure that you like do your first one, like I did one here, and you want to make sure you line up your holes on every one, even though you think that you're doing it perfectly. Like, see, this is the top. I want to make sure I do the top here, and then I'm going to go ahead and I have a 2-hole punch that I could do this, but I don't know. This is easy. I usually do a circle just because if I do the dot, I can be off. So then I just use a regular old hole punch and just punch holes. Okay. Oops. And what that does is that makes this thick enough that it's not going to tear or anything, and it can hold a tag and do whatever. As I said, you could do back-to-back Tim Holtz papers, and they're probably thick enough. But like this paper that I put on the back was really, let me just show you. You know, it's just like, feels like copying paper, but, you know, you had the Tim Holtz on this side, and then you had a little bit thicker paper. So what that did is that gave it, you know, a little bit of weight to it. Plus, you know, you're using up your ugly papers that you normally would not use. But like, for instance, here I have 2 Tim Holtz papers. Well, if I put those 2 together, that's probably about the same as this. So you don't have to have that other paper in the middle. I'm just saying that that's a great way to use these thinner papers, you know. Like, let's just do these 2. Let's see. Maybe I might not use that one. Maybe I'll use, try to change them up a little bit. Okay, let's see. Let's go memorandum, and then this one. Okay. And then let's do another. Let's see what we have here. I'm thinking about coloring a little bit. So I could just take, like I said, the Tim Holtz papers and do those back to back and make sure they're, you know, not upside down like I just did. And this one, I don't know, those look kind of similar though. Maybe I can do something different. Maybe those 2 might work better. I'm just thinking how they're going to look together. I want them to look a little different so they don't all just kind of blend. Yeah, that looks good. So, like, I'll just take a few more. And as I said, I'm just going to take some glue and put these together. Move that off the side. Okay, do I want to do those 2? Yeah, okay. And I always do measure, just put them together from the bottom. Anyway, I'm going to go gather all my Tim Holtz stuff and put it in one little spot so that I can kind of just, you know, get it out and use it, because I haven't been using it. And I have it all over because I have it like in like things and like things. And I don't know, I just didn't, I don't really put stuff by brand, but he's kind of in a class by himself and I have so much of it. You know, like I put all the metal things with all the metal things and all the paper with the paper. I mean, I have all the Tim Holtz paper together, but, you know, but then I'll have like the frames with the frames and, you know, so I don't have it all in one spot. So that's kind of a problem. So I do need to go around and get it all. I just got some of it just to show you the kind of things that I'm going to be using. And I'm going to use stuff that is not Tim Holtz that kind of goes with it, and then that I have just out of my stash, and then you guys might want to kind of look through your stash and see what you have. So, because I think that will be fun. Now see, these I'm not putting another paper in between, but you definitely can do that. I mean, if you have some old papers that you're not using, and it's a great way to cover them up, or use the thinner papers that, you know, will go really well, right? But they're too thin. You just have to use a little bit thicker cardstock. Like these two together are just fine, okay? Like really are the same weight as that, or close to it. And then I will go through and I will go ahead and trim all these. And just take that little bit off if you see it. And, you know, as I said, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. But if there's a big difference, and you won't notice any difference when you're done at all, because you won't notice that much difference. All right, I think that one looks good. It was just that one little spot. Let me see, this just has one little one. Because, you know, you can't cut it perfect, so you may have a situation where you have just a little bit that you need to cut off. And the good thing about using glue stick is you can move it, but I find if you start from the bottom and try and match them up, it seems to work better. So, and then go ahead and use your ink. And the most important thing is to line up your holes right. Make sure that you do that. As I said, I do have a 2-hole punch that I could use. And then that way I could just punch them all. But I thought I'd just use a hole punch because that way everyone can see. This is very attainable. And a lot of the papers that I used are not Tim Holtz. And on the other side, on my other pages, you'll see. And that kind of, the good thing about doing that is that if you're hoarding your Tim Holtz stuff like me, what that does is it kind of stretches it out. You're kind of mixing up, you know, your papers. So, but you're still going to get that same kind of look, you know. Yeah, and I would go through your paper pads and look, because there was a lot of papers that I picked out that were just kind of in the middle of these paper pads that I really didn't think I was going to use. And I went back and I looked, and you know, sure enough, almost in every single paper pad, there was at least 2 or 3 different papers that I could definitely use. And then the ones you don't like I said, you know, don't feel bad about sandwiching them in between, because at least they're getting used. You know, so anyway, so as I said, what was I doing here, people? As I said, if you're not going to sew around these, you definitely want to use a different, you know, stronger glue that will stick. Although I use this Scotch permanent glue stick, and I really like it. It actually is pretty strong. So then what I do is I go back in and I mark all of my, make sure they're right side up, top and bottom. And go ahead and mark all my holes. Go ahead and do that on this one and that one. I mean, this is fairly self-explanatory and easy. That's why I thought I would do it today, because I was kind of in that mood. And I know when I turn off the camera, I'm going to start working on stuff because I am really excited about doing this. Alright, so the reason I do the circle really is I don't want to do a dot and then be off, you know. But I do have a 2-hole punch that's, you know, that sets it, so I could do that and then not have to worry about it. But this is easy. It's not hard. I like doing these. And this is just a little cheap hole punch, so it's attainable for everybody. So, and I find that I don't need the hole reinforcers on these, you know, because it's pretty sturdy, but I like how it looks. And you can either buy the ones at like a Dollar Tree or Walmart or whatever. I happen to have the punch that punches these out, and I have a bunch that I did from just some craft paper. I just have a habit of when I have scraps of different papers, I will just, sometimes, I don't always do it, I just punch things out so I have them when I want them. I have tabs and all kinds of stuff, and I'll just take my glue stick, and I'm really doing this more for looks because I know that this is strong enough that I don't need these, but I'm going to put these on there just for looks. Okay. It does reinforce them, you know, so they're not gonna, it's not gonna tear. But you know, you may not want to do that. I just like how it looks. You know, of course you could ink these too and make them even darker, which I may go back and do, but I think they look cool the way they are. So I'm just going to do all of those like that, okay? And that is what I will use. And I'll show you, I did a few others, so you can just, you know, see how they do. Here's some where this is not a Tim Holtz paper, but I just thought it would look good. This one is Tim Holtz. This is not a Tim Holtz paper, but, you know, it is. Here it is on the other side. Again here, and I have that one. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do for the pages. Then let me show you, let me move this aside here. I will get back and finish those later. For the cover, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and cut our chipboard. And I am going to do it a little bit bigger than the pages. The pages are 6 by 6. I'm going to do it 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, just so that I have a little bit bigger cover. So I'm going to take this and just do 6 1/4. Like I said, you could use like a cereal box cover. I would maybe like double it or something if you're doing a cereal box cover. So I'm going to do this 6 1/4. Let me get that straight. And you know, this will cut it, mine will cut it, but I have to go over it a few times, which is fine. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to turn it and do 6 1/4 again, because I want to make sure get them all square. Yeah, 6 1/4. All right, and always save your pieces because I use these for all kinds of stuff. But anyway, so basically you're going to cut 2 of these. 6 1/4 all the way around. So you're basically making just 2 cuts. My whole thing's moving here. There we go, that's good. And then 6 1/4 here. All right, there we go. And the other thing that I want to cut is, this is my burlap. You don't have to use burlap. You can use anything you want. You could use another paper. Honestly, that would work just fine. I'm only using this because I have it and I don't know what I'm going to do on the cover yet, to be honest with you. So I'm going to do this to fit just right over the cover at 6 1/4. And I may have to cut this by hand too. Yeah, I think I might. Which is okay. Oh, no, it cut. Okay, so 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. And there we go. I think that, oh, not yet. Yeah, this is just harder just because it's a, you know, like a material. So I'll save this because I definitely will use it somewhere else, but I don't know if this is going to work here because I don't think this is 6 1/4 here. Is it? It should be though. Yeah, it is. Okay, great. Good. So hopefully I have a big enough piece here. It's going to have a hole in it, but let me see if this piece will. Yeah, it's kind of a shame that they did that because you can't really use that other piece without having a hole in it, but I don't know. I don't know if this piece looks better. Yeah, I think that piece looks a little better. Okay. I'm not worried about that hole because I'm going to cover it up. It'll be covered up with some stuff later. All right, there we go. All right, so what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to take my chipboard pieces and these pieces, and I'm just going to glue them all together. And I'm going to use a little bit better glue, but my goal is I am going to sew around this, and my machine will go through that, so I'm not too worried about it. So I'm going to do that. And as I said, I'm not too concerned about this because it will be covered up later. Let's see if it works the same on both sides. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, good. So I'm going to do that. And then on the other side, I am going to go ahead and cover it up with another paper. It doesn't really matter that much because I think most of it's going to be covered. But let me see what I might want to use. I can use some of these, or what I could do is I could also just use, here, let me try this. It's not opened all the way. Let me see. Could use something, oh, I know what I could do that might look better. Just cover it up with some music paper or some just random paper that is not necessarily the Tim Holtz paper. So let's see. Oh, I know. Here, this is a good one. I'll do that. There's really not any, you know, anything I'm too concerned about covering it with, but I want something, yeah, I think something like this. Now realize that it's going to have to be 6 1/4 because I don't know if I want it plain like that. Let me see if I can use my 8x8 paper. I just had it out. What did I do with it? Okay, here it is. All right, I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to use my 8x8 paper because that way I'm not, let me try that. Let's try like this, and I don't necessarily want to do the same. I want it kind of, yeah, I think that would work. Okay, so I'm just going to do this on the inside, just because it's easy. Okay. Move it out of the way, or I could use these. Let me see. I do have these too. Here's some other papers that I did to use. I don't know. Too many choices. That's the problem. I really love that. I love that. I don't know. So let's see. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. This is cool too, right? But I don't know. I want it kind of plain though, I think. Yep. I think I'm going to wait on that. And then use these for the inside, because I really don't know how I'm going to decorate the inside. You know, if I'm going to put like a pocket or what I'm going to do. So let's go. We have to do these 6 1/4. That's why I went ahead and did the 8 by 8 pieces. And we're going to do that 6 1/4. Right? So we'll just do that. All right, so we're going to use these on the inside cover, right? And that can go here, and then that can go here. All right. And on this, I'm going to use a little bit stronger glue. This is my, oh, there we go. I am going to try and sew around this, so I think my machine will handle it just fine. Because I have done this particular chipboard. Now, some chipboard, it won't do well, but this should do. So I'm just going to do that. I think I'll spread that with my finger a little bit. Get it right up to the edges. So, and again, I like to get the bottom lined up and then the sides, and it usually works out for me. Alright, so that's on there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the top of this. And I'm going to go ahead and put this little hole down here, because I know I'm going to put something over there, so I'm not too concerned about that. It's kind of a shame that they did that on that paper, because I'm like, okay, well, but I know I'm putting something there, so I'm not too concerned about it. I have a metal plate that I'm going to put on the bottom over there, so maybe put a little bit more in the middle. And this has a paper backing, so otherwise I would use my 3-in-1 probably. But you want to use a strong glue. You line up the bottom. Get it on there good. Alright, so that is that one. And again, we'll trim around it if it's off a little bit. Not a big deal. But because we've made it a 1/4 inch bigger than, you know, the other And we're going to do that. I don't know why this thing's clogging up so much. So anyway, I had my niece visit me with her little baby, her 1-year-old baby, and she's adorable. She really is. But she is not walking yet. She has a lot of health issues that she's had to deal with, and in and out of the hospital and stuff. And you know, honestly, it's amazing that she is as far along as she is. She's trying to walk. She is definitely crawling. She scoots a lot. She's like, she crawls and she's like, that's just not fast enough. She's really good at scooting. And she loved my dog, who, interestingly enough, they have their birthday is exactly like 2 days apart, and they're both 1 now, and they really loved each other. They had a blast. At first, my dog didn't know what to think of the baby. She was like, you know, I don't have any grandkids, and she sees other children, but I don't think she's seen a little baby. And she just like didn't know what to think of this person, you know. It's like, what is it? What exactly is that? And it was quite funny. So my dog Dory was afraid of Eleanor for a little bit. And then I think she warmed up to her, and then she really liked her. So she was sad to see her go. I was too. But so we did that this weekend, and we had a really good time. Okay, so now that I've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this to get it even. I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm just going to kind of get the little extra edge off of there. There's not a lot on there, but just a little bit. You know, there's not a lot. There's just a little. And I'm just going to trim that down a tiny bit. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. There's a little bit on the top here. Let me see here. Well, I don't know. I think I cut it crooked. See, that's usually why I use my cutter, because it seems to do a lot better. Alright, that one doesn't seem to have that as much. A tiny bit right here. That's weird. I must have cut it crooked or something. Alright, so I got the little tiny bits of difference, okay? And then again, I'll take my walnut stain and I'll go over all the edges. And I do the burlap too, but anyway, this kind of, you know, helps you with any edges that aren't exactly lined up, but so we have that, we have this. Now the important thing on the cover, because it's a little bit bigger, is you have to line up the holes to where you want the pages to sit, okay? So, and I am going to do the outside of this too, by the way. And as I said, I'm going to put something over there, so I'm not too worried about that. Anyway. Alright, so now that I've done that, I'm going to take my holes that I have, and I have the top and the bottom, and I'm just going to kind of figure out where I want these. Like, I think this will be the front, and this will be the back. So I'm going to line these up the way that I want them to be. Do I want that to be, oh, I want that to be the front. And I want this to be the back. So I got to make sure it's not upside down. And so here's my top, right? So I want it to open up. I want it to open up like this, okay? And then I want my back. So I'm going to lay them face to face like that, how they're going to be. And that's how I'm going to measure my holes, okay? And I'm going to put my paper here and decide, okay, I want a little bit of room on top and a little bit of room on the bottom, which is probably about 1/8 of an inch, I would imagine. Because, and I'm just eyeballing it, okay? Get that in there good. And then I'm going to kind of eyeball it and get it kind of straight. You can use your mat to do that if you're, okay. Get your 2 pieces straight. So I'm going to mark this top one again with my marker. And I could do it on the paper side, but I'm just going to do it on here. It'll work fine. Just going to do that. Okay. And then I'm going to lift this top off. And then I'm going to mark the other one. Make sure I get that pretty much lined up the same way. And mark that. And then that way, when I put this together, it'll sit where it needs to sit, okay? So, and then it gets a little bit harder to punch, that's for sure. Let me get that in there. I think what I'm going to use, I'll use my other punch here, because it's not as easy to punch with this. Okay. Oops, everything's falling here. Alright, if you do not have a heavy duty hole punch for this, you could punch these before you put them together. Measure it and punch it before you put it together. Well, I didn't mean to do that. That loud noise. They get clogged in there and I can't see. Yeah, because what it is it's really what it is the burlap. The burlap is what's causing the problem. It's not that thick, but this burlap is hard to punch. So there we go. Let me see. I don't know if it'll do any better after I've punched it once. No, yeah, it's the burlap. That's what's causing the problem. So if you're not using burlap, you probably could go through it very easily with just paper. But the burlap, it's like punching through material, really. But this does a pretty good job. So anyway, so I'm doing that. That way we have our holes. And so that is going to work like that. So that will be our cover, and our pages will sit right inside. Okay. And as I said, I'm going to put the, I'll put the holes in all of these, and it'll fit right inside like that. Okay. And I am going to sew all the way around, and I'll show you some that I've already done. Give you an idea. Let me get it over here, because I've already done some like these. So these are, this is just a scrapbook paper that I had, and it was really thin paper, but I just put it in between some other paper just to make it a little thicker. And see, there's another one. I think these are just 2 scrapbook papers. They're not even a Tim Holtz. I did a bunch of these. So I have different papers, and I'm going to mix them all up. And that is what I'm going to do. I will sew around probably with black thread on all of them. You definitely don't have to sew, because you could do this without it. But that is what I'm going to use for my journal, that we're going to eventually just make a bunch of tags and things like that to put in there, pockets and flips and flaps and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to use things, use some of our stamps and all that kind of good stuff, just so that we can kind of play with our Tim Holtz stuff. And I thought I'd bring you guys along with me. And anyway, that's a great way to use some of those papers, your Tim Holtz papers, and also your other scrapbook paper that you know, maybe aren't using, and it'll make a cool little journal. So, and I don't normally use the metal rings that often, but I think for me what happens is when I use the Tim Holtz stuff, I tend to use a lot of metal embellishments and stuff, and I really like that. You know, it's obviously very different than what I normally do, but it goes really well with it. So I think it'll be really fun, really cool, and just a great way to use some stuff and have fun. And that's what it's all about. So okay, we'll see you again soon, and take care. And the best thing to do, I don't know for sure when I'm going to upload videos. I try my best to do it, you know, at a regular basis, but things come up, and sometimes I have horrible issues uploading. So the best thing to do is to hit the bell, and hopefully you can get notified then. So we'll see you then. All right, take care.